What's going on, guys? Good news today is the ban list day. And I gotta say, this is an interesting ban list for sure. I'm not sure how to take it. As you can see with the forbidden cards, so, we got a lot of interesting changes, cards that I wish were on here but aren't. So yeah, we're gonna go and get into it, and we're gonna get my opinions on this. It might be a little bit of a longer video, just because I'm a very opinionated person. Let's go in and start with the forbidden. We got Arch Nemesis Protos. Very good to see this card banned already. This card just completely locked your opponent out of the game for free, essentially, because it was searchable. And it was just so good. You could bring it back multiple times after it got outed, if it was ever outable. And yeah, glad to see it gone. Ava, this is the weirdest Drytron hit, in my opinion. It does hurt this Herald, but at the same time, I feel like there could have been something else to hit Drytron that would have made the deck still playable. I don't think the deck's dead off of the Ava ban, but I think now it's so weak that people will be switching off of it. So Morg, the Bird of Sovereignty, this was their call to hit the Barrier Statue or Avion. I much rather would have just seen Barrier Statue get banned. I don't think Avion was too oppressive, but Simorg was abusable in too many different decks, I guess. So it makes sense for it to go. And then Imperial Order, there's just not much to be said about this. This card should never have come off, even with the errata. The errata didn't do anything, and I'm so glad to see this card gone. And that's it for Forbidden. Notable things that aren't on here: Heartbeat's Feather Storm and Artifact Scythe. Very unfortunate not to see Artifact Scythe on this list, because now Brave PK will be absurdly powerful. And then it's also very absurd to not see Feather Storm since it locks your opponent out, but they do hit other cards to that deck coming up. This is the most controversial limited list I've seen in a long time. So, as opposed to regulating other decks, they decided to bring back a bunch of just omega powerful cards and see how they would feel in the current metagame. And then they limited a few things that I don't quite understand why they got limited. So we're going to start with Destrudo. Destrudo is a very powerful card, and it's very weird to see it back already after its pretty recent banning. It's only been about 2 or 3 years. I got the Engage syndrome, where it feels very weird to come back so soon. Fairy Tale Snow, I'm an Infernoid Grass player. I still don't have Grass, but we're getting the pieces back. I love Fairy Tale Snow. It's great to see that back. I don't know how this is going to play because it is Link fodder for days, but I don't think it's going to be as broken as it used to be. Astrograph Sorcerer, I'm very concerned about this with Beyond the Pendulum coming out, but this is probably the best thing that could have given us back that wasn't Kieran or Electromite. And I feel Electromite needs to stay permanently banned because of Beyond the Pendulum. Lunalight Tiger is an interesting one. I think they felt that with one Tenki that the engine isn't as abusable, and that's fair. I don't know if I would have liked to see Tiger come back yet, but I'm not too hurt about it. Uh, Lyrisk Recital Starling. This is a good one. Way too good of a card. The Lyrisk cards are all just quite crazy, and Starling is what lets you get into F-Zero the easiest. So now you have to waste another good rank 1 after you do your searches, and you can't be as greedy with your searches. Monster Gate to 1, I believe this is solely just for FTK style decks that rely on it. Because if you play a Makata FTK deck, which I've played before, Monster Gate's pretty crucial to that deck. That and Reasoning. So I think they're just trying to cut the consistency of FTK style decks like that. I don't think it was specifically for the Machina one because it was not a good deck, but just for our FTKs in general. But they also could have just hit it because of Snow's Return as a preemptive hit, which I still think is very odd. And then the weirdest card is Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires is not the third pot card, correct me if I'm wrong, to have ever been limited. We have had Pot of Greed and Pot of Duality. So Pot of Desires is now in that echelon of powerful pot cards, and I don't think it ever deserved to be at 1. The card did come with a not steep. It did, but it did come with a downside. In earlier days, Pot of Desires was 3 of an everything, like during the Metal Foe format. So the card wasn't hit back then, and there was no counters to it, like there was an Ash Blossom. And now the card's at 1 because a few decks are playing it. I think they did it just to mainly boot off the sales of Prosperity, of an impending reprint. But I don't know why they hit this one. It's very awkward. So now it's just a luck factor card because I don't think it's going to change the fact that decks are going to want to play it. Like some decks will just play a bunch of talents in this now, and it still does the same thing. So very interesting. It's semi-limited. So this is a very weird semi-limited list as well. Uh, for the first we see is A Hero Lives. That's fine. That card should have come back to 3 a long time ago. I don't think that card's very good at all. Paying half your life points just to have the monsters getting summoned be negated or just it being ashed. Fine. A not searchable summoner. We've seen those before, and this one has the most egregious downside I think I've seen in them. Fusion Destiny to 2. This is interesting because the Destroyer Phoenix is still so new, but this doesn't actually hurt the engine because like you technically made it so you're forced to play Verte now. Some people were arguing that you didn't have to, which I think is completely incorrect. But now you just have to play Verte. And if anything, this is a benefit because I've been wanting to play 2 for a while in the Verte because 3 of it is just dead draw so often. But now I'm being forced to play 2, so they help fix my deck. So thank you. The Deer Servant to 2. This card should have went to 1. I don't know why this is on the semi-limited list, but here it is. Now here's the big one for me as a Salamon Great player. We got Circle back to 2, and it won't change a damn thing. And here's why. Circle is not the piece that we're missing, or the piece that we're missing. Multiple Gazelles would have been so much better. We definitely didn't need other copies of Mirage Dahlia. One Mirage Dahlia is fine. But I don't feel like the 2 Circle is going to matter at all. Like, you could have given us 3 Circle, 3 Gazelle, and the deck probably still wouldn't see any success. Does that mean I'm going to play it? Of course I'm going to play it. I love Salamon Great. One of my favorite decks. It's just not what we needed. And then Scapegoat at the 2. This is controversial. Uh, as we've seen before, it's just a free link 4. But that being said, it is a little weaker nowadays, so maybe they're trying to ease it in. And here is where I hate this ban list. Only for one specific card, and I'm pretty sure you could tell what it is already. So coming to 3, we got Danger Nessie, whatever. I'm glad to see the Danger's getting their power back. Red Med, card sucks after errata. Skullcrow Bad Joker, fine. Emergency Teleport, very cool to see, very happy to see that. As a Virtual World player and a Phantom Knight player, it's nice to see extra extenders for free. Raigeki to 3 is a very interesting one because it goes from 1 to 3 instantly. They didn't even test it at 2. But it is good because this is your budget Lightning Storm, and now you have 3 copies of it, which is insanely nice. So great to see Raigeki back at 3. It won't do as much as Lightning Storm, obviously, but now you're not bottlenecked into playing Lightning Storm, which is fantastic to see. And then Skill Drain to 3. I'm very opinionated about this card. I played this card when Dark World was at full power, and 3 Skill Drain just locked your opponent out of the game. And that was back then when field effects weren't as important as they are now. Like, they were obviously still very good back then, but people were still summoning just big beaters like Stardust Dragon. Like, Stardust Dragon Skill Drain was a lock for most decks. Like, you know, some people new to Yu-Gi-Oh! These days, they wouldn't know that Skill Drain and Stardust Dragon was basically an FTK. But now we have 3 Skill Drain. And we already have one of the most oppressive trap decks when it gets working, being Eldritch. It doesn't want effects on the field anyway, with 3 Skill Drain. So I'm very interested with this. I do not think that this card should have come back to 3. I think this should have stayed at 1, and I was originally going to post a ban list prediction video, but those are so saturated. And I put Skill Drain on my list to be banned because it was a sack you one of. They removed the sacky factor, and now it's just broken. So we'll see how this plays. But I think this was incorrect, and this will have not the Snatch Steal syndrome where everybody's going to be playing it and it's going to be immediately rehit, but I think this is going to cause a lot of problems down the road, especially with Reboot not being at 3, or 3 Harpies Feather Duster. But yeah, that's it for the ban list talk. It's a very interesting list. Like I said, I'm quite unsure how I feel about most of it. The forbidden cards are all right. The limited cards are where it gets sketch. The semi-limited is also pretty sketch. And then the unlimited is very sketch. But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this ban list. Did I miss anything? Do you think I'm being overly negative on this list? Because at least we did lose Ione and Proto, so I'm very thankful. Thank you, Konami Gods, for that. But I still think there's more, and I do not like how we're heading into the next format. But thanks for watching. Peace, YouTube.